Okay, we are ready to roll and shape our pain au chocolat. So I have the other half of the dough, and we're going to be rolling it to almost the same size as we did the classic croissant. 8.5 inches this direction as before. And by the way, the fold is facing up. And then about 27.5 inches the opposite direction. So because, let's see what this is now, out of curiosity. It's almost 8. So I'm going to focus on this direction because it will naturally come out this direction. And if it's a little firm from being in the fridge, it's okay to kind of pound it a little to loosen it up. And then start rolling. Check my flour, and I definitely do need some here. And rolling again. As I mentioned in my last video for rolling and shaping classic croissants, it is a little more difficult to roll out the dough after the 3 turns and it's been resting in the refrigerator overnight. But just keep at it and you'll get it to the right size. We are set there. And this direction, we're a little bit over, but that's okay. We're going to be trimming the edges, so it doesn't hurt to have that a little bit over. As I mentioned in the classic croissant, it doesn't hurt to be a little bit over, an inch or so, but you don't want to be over by several inches because then your dough will be too thin. Okay, so we are ready to trim our edges. This opens up the layers. There we go. Let's see where we're at there. Looks great. Generally, you trim off about 1/4 of an inch. Since this is a little bigger than I need it to be, I'm just trimming off a little bit more. And again, that helps deal with some of those dipped corners that aren't as square as I'd like them to be. Okay. We're actually still a little long, but that's all right. We can go ahead and start cutting now. Even though they're a little long, we'll just have some excess at the end. So, what we're going to do is we're going to mark every 4.5 inches on the bottom and top, and we're going to mark at the same points because chocolate croissants or pain au chocolat are rectangular pastries. They're not they don't start with a triangle. So I've got 4.5, 9, 13.5, 18, and then 4.5, and then I'll do the same thing on the top. 4.5, 9, 13 and a half, 18, and 4 and a half. Now, again, we just connect the marks. In this case, they're just straight cuts. They're not triangles again. And make a straight cut through the dough. And that, again, is scrap. And now, whereas with the classic croissants, we use the entire 8 inches, with pain au chocolat, you will get, we're going to cut these in half. So we're going to and this, again, is a little bit longer than I had planned, so I'm going to start it at 8, mark it 4, and at 0. And same thing on this side. Start it at 8, mark it 4, and 0. And again, line up. And because this is not quite long enough, I'm going to mark my 4 and 8 in the middle too. Okay, so line those up. So basically, pain au chocolat are 4 and a half by 4 is what you're cutting the dough to. And again, those extra bits will go for scrap. Theoretically, you could re-roll these for more croissant dough as long as you have them stacked. They're not all jumbled, but I've never tried that, and they're never going to be quite as good as freshly made dough that's rolled out properly. Okay, now that our dough is cut, we're ready to fill and shape our pain au chocolat. So here I have 1 whole egg that I'm going to beat up. You're not looking to get any air in it. You just want it very smooth, because this is what is going to help us seal the pain au chocolat. So well combined and smooth. The way you can know is kind of pick it up like that. Make sure there are no large bits, that it smoothly flows from the whisk. Okay. And I have a pastry brush here. This is my wet brush. I have the larger brush that I call my dry brush, and that never gets wet. It's used to brush off bench flour. And then I have this smaller one. I use this for egg wash, for melted butter, etc. Although whatever you use on it, you do need to clean it well, especially if you use melted butter or oil. I mostly use this for egg wash. And then I have our chocolate. These are chocolate sticks or chocolate bâton. 44% dark chocolate from Callebaut. You don't have to use that brand, but these are available on Amazon. You could use chocolate chips. I don't find that they're as tasty, and they're a little more difficult, I think, to use because you've got to lay out a bunch of little chocolate chips instead of just a baton. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch this out on the lengthwise just a little bit, and we'll do 2 at a time. Okay, and then we're going to egg wash down the center. What I like to do is you can do a single piece of chocolate, start at one end and roll it all the way. I like the more chocolate the better, so I use 2 sticks of chocolate and roll it from each direction. So I'm going to egg wash the center. Then I am going to put a chocolate baton on either side of that egg wash. And then I'm going to roll the bottom up to cover the chocolate and push it into that egg wash, and then roll the other side over on top of that dough. Pinch it down. You can even kind of use the edge of your hand. Then roll it together. You have this nice little bundle to go on your tray. So again, roll the bottom up, and if there's too much flour on it, after you've rolled, wipe that away. Bring the top over. Again, wipe off any excess flour. Push it down, pinch it down into the center. Roll it over on itself, and onto the tray it goes. Oh, forgot, I like to stretch it out just a little bit. Then egg wash over the center, through the center. A chocolate baton on either side of the egg wash. Roll the top up. Brush off excess flour. Roll the top over that. Squeeze. Give it a little push with the edge of your hand. Roll it and onto the tray. Okay, I will finish up rolling the rest of these chocolate croissants, and in our next video I'll show you how to proof our classic and chocolate croissants.